Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're going to talk about social interaction not being role-playing. All right, so let's get into this. First of all, I need to cite the source here. DM Lair said this, and said it in such a brilliant way, it shocked me. I couldn't believe how smart what he said was, and how I hadn't really seen this aspect of one of the core pillars of the game. So let's talk about DM Lair's channel for a minute. I don't think I've ever spoken ill of DM Lair's channel. I actually have listed him on one of my top 10, D&D commentator lists. But I have to say, I've been very dismissive in my own personal opinion. I haven't said anything publicly about him. But when I see his channel, I'm like, this guy, come on. So, and it's for two reasons. So basically, the first reason is he does these little skits at the beginning of his material, and he plays a bunch of dumb characters talking to each other. Now, I don't call many people dumb, because I don't think most people are dumb. I think most people are highly intelligent. In fact, I believe we've arrived in a new world where highly intelligent people are incredibly common, right? And I don't think there are many dumb people at all, and even if I thought somebody was dumb, I would never say they were dumb. But he creates them as dumb comic relief characters, and he kind of talks about important D&D subjects, but with these comic relief characters. And it was hard for me and I was like, you're not really that intelligent. And because it was hard for me to separate seeing him literally playing 4 different dumb characters. And then he moved on, and he'd be like, hey, here's some information to get plus 2d6 more damage out of your barbarian, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, more complexity on the player side for combat. This is the lowest hanging fruit. Highly intelligent D&D commentators don't talk about this stuff. But I was 100% wrong. This guy is brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And he said something that I never realized about the core pillars of the game, right? So one, I'll link to his video below. And he said something shockingly brilliant. He said, social interaction is not role-playing. And I was like, wait, what? Right? So he did talk about the core pillars of the game. So, and I tell the truth, I was shocked he knew what they were, right? Like combat, exploration, social interaction. And the reality is, there's a ton of D&D commentary channels out there. Like, here's how you get more damage. Here's how you can do the best subclass, which is almost always a combat, focus, right? And I was shocked he even knew what the pillars were. But not only did he know the pillars, and I was 100% wrong to be dismissive in my personal opinion of him, he's absolutely brilliant. He brought forward this great idea. Or not a great idea, just a realization, a better understanding of the core pillars, right? And he said, listen, social interaction is not role-playing, right? And the reason why is you can role-play in any of the pillars, okay? So when you go to slay, and I'm going to give 3 examples, right? These aren't his. This is all me now, right? By the way, I'm giving full credit. This is his idea, and this is a better understanding. Social interaction is not role-playing, okay? So let's, and I've had this confusion in my comments. People are like, Scott, there's no need for high complexity in role playing, and social interaction is role playing. I've literally had that said many times in the comments below by people who don't fully understand the core pillars of Dungeons & Dragons. And I have to admit, I was schooled by DM Lair, and I realized I don't fully understand the pillars, and I am now being taught, core game principles that go back to Gary Gygax and back to 1974 by a person I thought was a plus 2d6 for your barbarian build guy, and I was wrong. I'm wrong. Okay, all right. So here's the key, right? Combat, right? You go in with your human fighter, and you are going to slay the goblin, right? And so the dungeon master says that you get to the last goblin, right? And you as you swing your sword, as you pull your sword back, you see 11 other goblins dead, and this is the 12th goblin. But this goblin, as you are about to take your last swing, puts up his arms and just chitters, no, right? And even though goblinoids, are not, they don't have, you don't find a lot of goblins with 18 intelligence. You could tell he's communicating. He doesn't want to die to you, right? You're in combat. You don't say a word. You just sheath your sword, right? That's role-playing in combat. There's no social interaction happening, right? It's all combat. That's a combat choice, right? Exploration, right? So basically, you as a player, okay? You're thinking all week, and you're like, we're in our 18th month of play, right? And I remember there was a dungeon in our second month of play, and there was a silvery pool in the bottom, right? And you think to yourself, and you take some notes, and you come in, and in scene 1, right, you are currently on a quest to save the princess, right? And you go, hey, and the dungeon master, you say, hey, I'm talking in character now. Listen, everybody, we ain't saving the princess. We're going back to the silvery pool. Last night I had a dream, and this voice said, return to the silvery pool in 3 phases of in 3 days time, for you must be there. I had a dream. We have to abandon this quest, and we have to go to the dungeon that had the silvery pool that we did 16 months of play ago, right? That's role playing, right? Like, you are literally usurping the direction of the dungeon master's game and saying and putting something on the table that no one, like, and the dungeon master didn't give you this dream. Like, you're saying, I got this dream, right? Like, and if all the players, let's say that you're the shiznit in your group, and the players are like, bet, let's go. Who cares about the princess, right? And you guys all walk a mile toward the dungeon with the silvery pool. That is role-playing in the exploration pillar, right? Now, I don't even need to tell you how role-playing interacts into the social interaction player. It's been confused for a long time. So here's the reality, and I differ from DM. DM's Lair says that role-playing happens in all the pillars. He's wrong. Now, first of all, he's brilliant, and he knew something about the pillars I didn't know, okay? But he could still be wrong, right? Like, I'm brilliant, and I'm often wrong, right? Like, so, and DM's Lair is brilliant, but he's wrong on this, okay? Role-playing does not exist in all the pillars, okay? What actually happens is we have these pillars, right? We have combat, we have social interaction, and we have exploration, right? And if you are engaged and you are playing well, you can achieve role-playing in any or all of them. Any combat action, any social interaction action, any exploration action can be role-playing. At the same time, you can have actions in combat, actions in social interaction, actions in exploration that are not role-playing, right? Like, here's a good one. Like, social interaction. You get to the city, and you're like, I don't want to spend a bunch of coin, and I want to rip like the sword on the wall says 20 gold. I don't really care about this, this shopkeeper and his kids. I got 2,000 gold in my pocket, but I'm going to do a haggle right now and see if I can get 50% off or 25% off, right? And if you have no concern beyond the coin in your purse, right, and you don't realize you're a powerful adventurer, you're in this city, they could use every coin you have because this guy's got kids to feed, there's no role-playing in that social interaction. So you could have an action in combat, in social interaction, or in exploration. You can have an action in any of those. But I want you to understand, trust and believe, when you go to any of the pillars, you can achieve role-playing in any of them. Or you can do a bog standard, unthoughtful action that is not role-playing in any of them, right? Thank you to DM Lair. Brilliant content. Taught me something I did not know. And I apologize for ever thinking in my mind and never having said it that you were just like another plus 2d6 on your barbarian. Here's another squeezing another plus 2d6 damage out of your barbarian. I don't have a high amount of respect for that content because it's all over. It's way overdone. And the reality is the future is reducing the complexity of combat and massively increasing the complexity around social interaction. So thank you very much, DM Lair. I thought this was brilliant content. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you agree with DM Lair? that social interaction is not role play, and that confusing the two was a fundamental misunderstanding of the vast majority of players and dungeon masters. And I didn't even understand it to the full extent that he explained it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.